Hey, 6th grade, I hope all is well. Today we are going to be talking about triangles. So this is pages 241 and 242 in your math book. So, as I hope you know by now, a triangle is a three-sided polygon. So all of our triangles have three interior or inside angles that equal 180 degrees. So if you added up angle A, B, and C, together those equal 180 degrees, or whatever letters that triangle used. You have a couple different types of triangles. You have equilateral triangles, which have three congruent sides and three congruent angles. So your angles are going to measure the same, your sides are going to measure the same. You have an isosceles triangle. Those have two congruent sides. One side will be different, but two will be the same. Then you have a right triangle, which a right triangle, like its name, has a right angle. So those are our three main types of triangles that we will be working with. Equilateral, think of the word equal. They're all angles and all sides are equal. Isosceles and right. Right will have a right angle in it, which will be designated by that little box. Remember, our right angles equal 90 degrees. Okay, so we have a few triangles here. And what we are going to do is we are going to measure these triangles, the angles, and figure out the degrees. So as a refresher, we will need a protractor. I can tell right off that this is a right triangle. This was labeled for me by having this right here. So I know that this angle is going to be 90 degrees. All right angles are 90 degrees. Then we need to measure the other two. So take your protractor, take the vertex dot on your protractor, and line it up with the vertex of your triangle. Then line up the line that comes off of the vertex and follow that up. So if I were to follow that up, I can tell, okay, that is 90. That was correct. That is a 90-degree right angle. Then, to measure my other angles, I'm going to have to rotate it some. I start here. Well, I don't have to rotate for this one, I guess. Put it on this vertex, make my lines add up, and follow the line. If I were to extend that line, it would get to about 45 degrees. So this angle right here is 45 degrees. If I take my protractor, line up my vertex with that vertex, line up my line with that line, extend the angle line. Oh, that'd help if that didn't move. Line that back up. Extend the angle line. That is going to get me to about 45 as well. So this angle here is also 45. Another way I could have known that is, remember it said that all interior or inside angles will equal up to 180 degrees. So 90 plus 45 plus 45, or if I do 45 plus 45 first, that equals 90, and I add the other 90, that's 180. Okay, then we're going to measure the angles on this one, the second one. I line up my vertex dot with my vertex on my triangle. I follow it up. That's going to be 60 degrees. I go ahead and write that. So 60 degrees. Then I line up my second vertex. Follow that line. That's going to get me to 60 degrees as well. If I know my division and multiplication well, then I should know that 60 plus 60 plus 60 equals 180. Okay, then I have this last triangle. It looks kind of like a right angle, but there's no box, so let's measure it to see whether it truly is or not. So I'm going to line up like I'm supposed to. I'm going to follow, extend the line, and that's going to get me to 100 degrees. So this is almost a right angle, but it's 100, not 90. Then line up with my other vertex over here. Line up my line, extend that line, and it's going to get me to 40. If I know that I have 100 and I have 40, so 140, I need to get to 180 total. I know that I have 40 degrees left. All of your angles on the inside will add up to 180. So if we don't even have the triangles, a picture of them, then we can still figure out what those angles would be. If I have one angle that's 45 degrees, one that's 70, all I have to do is add those up. 45 plus 70, 5, 4 plus 7 is 11. Then I take 180 and I subtract what I already have, my 115 degrees. I have to borrow 5, 6, 0. So this last angle would be 65 degrees because it has to equal 180. My second triangle, I would have 99 degrees plus 35 degrees. 9 plus 5 is 14. 9, 10, 13. So then I take 180 and subtract 134. Have to borrow again. 6, 4, 0. So my third angle would be 46 degrees. For my last triangle, I have 52 degrees and 84 degrees. Add those together. 2 plus 4 is 6. 5 plus 8 is 13. 180 minus 136. Have to borrow 10. That would be 4. And then 4, and then 0. This last one would be 44 degrees. Okay, now as a little bit of a review of constructing angles. I want an angle that equals 40 degrees, and then I'm going to bisect it. So first I need to draw my actual angle. So we start out, we just need a straight line. I think it's easiest if you draw a straight horizontal line like that. But if you wanted to draw it sideways or vertical or however you want to do it, you're welcome to. I'm going to add my vertex dot just so it's a little more visible. Then I'm going to line up my vertex on my protractor like that. The line is not perfect because I did not use a ruler to draw the line, so I advise you doing that. Okay, I'm wanting 40 degrees, so I'm going to come over here to where the 40 degree mark is, put a little dot. Then I'm going to line that up. And remember, I don't have to make my line go all the way out here. As long as it is along where that line would be, then I can make it a shorter one, because rays go on and on forever. So I'm going to put it at about right there, and then I'm going to follow it down. And then I'm going to draw my arrow lines. And remember, to bisect it, it cuts it in half. I would cut it in half, which would make this angle here 20 degrees, and this one here 20 degrees. Okay, then I'm going to have an obtuse angle of 130 degrees. So I'm going to start out, have my vertex, draw a line out, and get my protractor. For 130 degrees, I need to make sure I'm looking at the correct side of the protractor. So, remember, a right angle, 90 degrees, is going to look like an L. So this one is going to be wider than that L. So it's going to be the bottom number over here. I'm going, well, I just messed that up. Line that back up. I'm going to put my little dot by the 130. Then I'm going to make my line. Once again, I'm not going to make it all the way up to that dot. That seems unnecessarily long. So I'm going to make it about right there. And then like that. And then I'm going to bisect it. I'm going to cut it in half. Of 130, half of 130 would be 65 degrees over here, 65 degrees over here. Okay, so that is kind of a review of our bisecting angles from yesterday and constructing angles from last week. Then we have our triangle measurements. Remember, all of those angles on the inside equal 180 degrees. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message on here or on Jupiter. Make sure you're getting caught up on all of this. Make sure you're sending me those assignments on Jupiter. Stay safe. See you soon.